Well, this is certainly unexpected. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is a much shorter commentary than the others, simply because this is more of a bonus commentary before I go to Japan. Since I really don't know if I will be able to keep up with these commentaries when I get into that country. But I felt, you know what? How about one last commentary and before we go? And what an odd way to start the Mario series. This is Mario Paint and later on Mario Artist Paint Studio. This is because these are games that you can't necessarily beat. These are more applications rather than full-on video games. Even if they have their own charm stuff, this video is more of a showcase of these games and what you can do in them, rather than a full-on playthrough like all the other games that I've made so far. Played so far. With Mario Paint, what I'm simply gonna do is just showcase as much as you can do with the game, with the exception of the animations. I'll save that for the Mario Artist parts, simply to avoid sort of repetition. But I guess I go into what my experience with these games are, and it's not that much. I mean, I've played Mario Paint before a little bit, just kind of draw, but the thing is that drawing with a mouse is not necessarily the most practical thing. I'm sure there's a lot of people who know how to draw with a mouse, especially people from like back in the 90s who even outside of Mario Paint, like in those computer applications, they probably got used to drawing with a mouse, but not me. I'm a guy who draws with a drawing tablet, Wacom, I think that's how I pronounce it, Wacom drawing tablet that I got back in the summer of 2021. And the thing is that the reason why I decided to do this commentary in the first place is because, well, I also draw. I don't draw nearly as much as I used to, and I only draw every once in a while, but I feel like this could be a good time for me to just tell you guys what my experience with drawing are. I have been drawing ever since I was a kid, but I'm gonna be real, I wasn't really that motivated to draw back then. The thing is, whenever I drew back then, it was very childlike, which, I mean, when I was a kid, yeah, of course it would be like that, but even going to stuff like the 6th grade, my art style was still like that. It hadn't really evolved. It was still very primitive, I guess. And I remember one time during one of our drawing art classes, basically Educação Tecnológica e Educação Visual, that's what they were called, Visual Education and Technological Education. I'm not sure why they were called that when they were basically art classes, but yeah, one time during 6th grade, I was drawing something, and one of my teachers just had to say for the entire class that my drawing looked very childlike still, even though we were already in the 6th grade. And it kind of demotivated me from drawing much, and also that every time I tried to draw a human character realistically, it always looked weird to me. So that just stopped me from like drawing too much throughout the next few years. I would still have art classes up until the 9th grade, and I was starting to get pretty good grades in the 9th grade. But by that time, I was just trying to draw other stuff like Mario power-ups or swords or maybe the occasional landscape, but nothing too complex, nothing too out of the extraordinary. But then, and during high school, I didn't draw at all. I was busy with other shit. But then during 2020, when that whole thing happened, I was bored, and a person who I was following at the time, I still talk with this person every once in a while, but was drawing. She was an artist, and that got to inspire me to like draw. And I drew Lupin the Third, which is a character I love to death from an anime. Maybe one day I'll talk more about Lupin and my whole experiences with it. Not now, maybe in the future. It's just I hope I don't get copyright striked into oblivion with that shit. But I drew Lupin the Third, and I was like, I was basically just looking at a reference and trying to sort of mimic that. And that's what a lot of my drawings sort of became, but it actually looked decent, and I was like, huh, I can actually draw something. And then, even if not always regularly, I would try to like draw and practice. And I got some drawings that, even if they're not necessarily unique, they were very, some of them I'm still kind of proud of to this day. Others, not so much. I'll put a link to my DeviantArt in the description just for you guys to check out my work. It's nothing special, I'll say this right now, but there's a few drawings I do like. One of the biggest ones was back in 2022. Is still my most ambitious drawing to this day, where I decided to honor one of my favorite games of all time, Sonic Unleashed, and make basically reference the Sonic and Tails and Chip picture that you see in the credits of that game, and put a different background, and then put it on like a wooden table as like a tribute to the world adventure. I think that's what I call the drawing. And yeah, man, and I still really like that drawing, but it took me a fuck ton of time. Thankfully, a couple of friends. I got some like notes, some recommendations from a few friends of mine, and it came out pretty good. But I'm not sure if I would ever do a drawing like that ever again. And I think what happens that, for me, that was kind of like a peak. Of course, for other artists, you would keep going and all that stuff, but I just kind of felt to myself that I would just have to make more and more drawings that are, if not better, then as equal as that one, and that kind of just demotivated me, which is why a lot of the drawings I did afterwards were very simple sketch-like drawings. And to this day, I only really draw every once in a while, as I lost a bit of motivation for drawing. Not completely. If I feel like it, I'll draw, but that's something that I really only do every once in a while. Anime, I think that was really the thing that I lost the most motivation to do. But with drawing, yeah, it's pretty close. But besides that, yeah, no. Now I used to draw on paper, and back in 2020, then with 2021, I got my drawing tablet, which took a while for me to get used to. By the way, I actually, for this playthrough, I was able to find a way to use a drawing tablet for Mario Paint. I didn't end up using the tablet for Mario Artist, as the sensitivity for that was a bit all over the place. So I was like, fuck it, let me just use the mouse instead, which is why I don't emphasize drawings as much in Mario Artist, and more in this one. But yeah, I started using the tablet, and it took me a while to get used to it, but eventually it just became my main way to draw, especially because with the application I use, Paint to Style, it just gives me a bunch of, just freedom with colors and stuff. Now because there were a few drawings I did on paper that I tried to color, but most of the time they didn't really look that good. I was very limited with colors, and now with doing digital drawings instead, it just gave me more freedom for that. But I guess I might as well talk about Mario Paint itself. Basically, what you can do in this game is draw, although your color selection is a bit limited. I mean, it was like 1992. I can't really blame them too much. And you can also make your stamps, as I'm doing right here. I was drawing a heart, but then I was like, this heart looks familiar. So, yeah, as you can see, I'm writing sans. And you can also animate, although I don't really showcase that in this video. And you can also compose music, which I'm not a music composer. I have a friend who is a music composer, but I don't know how to compose music for shit. I love listening to it, but composing it, I'm not really that great. So I just toy around with it, and then I just showcase the free built-in songs that are already in the game itself. Besides that, you can also play a mini game that I will show off afterwards. And that's pretty much it. It's a very simple application. It's a game that came with a mouse. It came, the game, I think there was a big thing about this game. It's like, it comes with a mouse, so you can play into your Super Nintendo and use it. And, for what it's worth, it's not bad from what I've seen, but it is from what I've seen, it is a bit primitive. Although I don't have a Super Nintendo, I don't have a way to play this game. Normally, Nintendo has never released it probably because the mouse is attached to it. So the only way I can play this game is via emulation. Similar thing with Mario Artist, like even bigger with Mario Artist, considering that game never left Japan. But I'll get more into the history of Mario Artist when we get into that game. But besides that, yeah, this video is pretty much just a showcase of what you can do. Nothing really major. I mean, I'm not the best drawer. I'm not the best music composer. So what I'm just doing is just fucking around. Again, this video is more of a bonus rather than anything. But what in terms of music, there's I mean, for anybody who knows me, they may know that I love jazz, I love video game music, and there may be a few other genres here and there, like lo-fi hip-hop that I really enjoy listening to, whether I'm relaxing or just, just listening casually on, like, the car, or on the bus, or something like that. If I were to recommend music to people, I mean, there's a shit ton of music that I've listened to throughout the years. I mean, there it is. It's the Super Mario Bros. Theme. Everybody knows it, right? Da 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 da. And then they put Super Mario World. Yeah, I just noticed that. So this is one of the first songs that's already built into the game, and that's pretty cool. But in terms of music itself, I mean, what I would recommend to people, I mean, there's a lot of songs. It really depends on what you're looking for. A lot of the songs I listen to don't really have lyrics, but there's a bunch that do. I guess I could just look into my phone and just say random songs I have on my phone and recommend what I personally like. Let's see here. We have and you can write this down. I probably won't put all these in the description. Just my DeviantArt, because this is something I found out when I was doing the night video, is that I have to, in order to put links that are for other websites, I gotta do an extra authentication to YouTube, and that would require me like showing a photograph of my citizen card, and I'm not and even though Google is a giant corporation and stuff, I'm not sure if I really trust a giant corporation with data such as that. So, really, I'll put the links in the description, but you gotta copy paste them to somewhere else. Maybe in the future I'll change my mind on that, but for now I kind of don't want to really take the risk. Alright, about some songs I can recommend. I mean, last time in the night's commentary I recommended a lot of songs. I recommended the soundtrack, like a lot of songs from here, like Gate of Your Dream, or the Nights in Riala song, or the main theme of the game, Dreams. But okay, so what songs I can recommend? There's Airman Galtausanai, which I briefly mentioned during my Mega Man 2 commentary, which is a fan-made song that's about this guy who fucking can't be the airman. That's hilarious. And then there was a song I found out recently called The Elusive Man from Mass Effect 2. I've never played Mass Effect, and I'm not sure if that's really my type of game, but I heard this song that was composed by Jack Wall, and I was like, wow, this is really good. This is really atmospheric. I really appreciate that. I guess Guess Who's Back by Rakim. I'm not much into traditional hip-hop, but I've heard some hip-hop songs, and this one was really good. It was featured in Across the Spider-Verse. For anybody who's seen that movie, yeah, that is a really good song. Well, what else? I guess we have Laura Brinstar from Metroid Samus Returns. As a big Metroid fan, I really appreciate that they remixed the Laura Brinstar theme from Super Metroid in Samus Returns. It's a great remix. I think I mentioned in my Super Metroid commentary that Laura Brinstar was a song that appeared first in Super Metroid, then it had a remix in Metroid Prime 2, then it had a remix in Metroid Samus Returns, and once again in Metroid Dread. Although in the case of Dread, it wasn't a song for any particular area, it was a song for a cutscene, a very important one as well. What else? I guess might as well, before I continue, mention this minigame. This is Gnat Attack. It's a simple minigame that developers decided to add, where you just use the mouse, or in my case, a drawing tablet, to swat these flies. And I don't play for out of it for all of it. Simply because I just suck, and also this is a showcase. I didn't really feel like I needed to play for the entire thing. But this is just a really fun mini game. And whenever you see one of the hands pop up, you be sure to swat it so you can get an extra life. And after you defeat 100 flies, the flying queen appears and she shoots projectiles. This is where I normally die, and the levels just get harder and harder. Yeah, it's a simple, fun minigame. I'm glad they brought it back for Super Mario Maker. I think in Super Mario Maker, at least the first one, what you can do to play it is after if you put a lot of objects or just shake them a lot of times, because if you shake an object that you're gonna put in Mario Maker, you get another object instead. If you shake it too much, if you shake it a lot, a fly will appear, and if you touch that fly, you'll get access to the minigame. And if you beat that minigame, you actually get a costume. But from whenever the minigame is really hard, so be prepared. And they added a harder version of that minigame in an update, and that's Jesus Christ, dudes. Alright, what are songs I can recommend? Oh, the main theme of Burning Rangers, might as well mention that video game again. The We Are Burning Rangers, there's two versions. There's a Japanese version, and there's the English version. The Japanese version was sung by the same singer who says, Daytona Takenobu Mitsuyoshi, I think that's his name. It's a great song. And in the English version, who sung it? Was it Marlon Sanders? I am not sure, I would have to look it up. Oh, another song I can recommend is this lo-fi hip-hop artist from Japan called Uyama Hiroto, who's the Yin and Yang. Yeah, that's a great lo-fi hip-hop song. I also recommend you guys check that out. What else? There's okay, I mean I check on my phone, there's All Star from Smash Mouth. Yep, everybody knows that song. Why the fuck would I even recommend that one? But no, yeah, it just really goes to show how much I love music. I mean, everybody loves music. It's just there's a bunch of different genres, and everybody's got their own preferences. You know, there's metal, there's rock and roll, there's jazz, there's blues, there's swing, there's jungle, there's drum and bass, there's pure opera, orchestral, pop. Everybody knows pop and the many versions of pop. I mean, I know more the subgenres of like jazz. There's just like, aside the normal jazz, there's jazz fusion, big band jazz, smooth jazz, jazz funk, new jazz. That was a term coined by a Japanese jazz band called Soylent Pip Sessions. There's also acid jazz, which, if you know Jamiroquai and his songs Virtual Insanity, Too Young to Die, When You Gotta Learn, his songs are pretty much acid jazz. There's a lot. It's interesting how I got into a giant music tangent because of the music creation. When I do a commentary on a game that isn't very gameish, it kind of allows me to talk about other topics as well. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But here's where I die because level 3 just got too hard for me. And I was just like, you know what? I think that's a good place to call off for Mario Paint. Game over. Oh well. I guess this is time for an intermission. And we're back. This is an interesting thing. A Nintendo 64 game. I think this is the first time I'm ever showcasing a Nintendo 64 game. And it's not just a simple Nintendo 64 game, it's a 64DD game. Oh boy, I got a lot to say about the 64DD. And the fact that I never touched one. I mean, how could I? I think it was an even bigger failure than the Virtual Boy. And the Virtual Boy didn't even break 1 million units. Like, the 64DD only sold like around 15,000 units, and that's fucking embarrassing, even if it was exclusive to Japan. Okay, you guys might be wondering, what the fuck is a Nintendo 64 DD? Well, strap yourselves in, we got a history lesson for you all. So, okay, we got Nintendo 64. The 5th generation console competed alongside the PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn. Everybody knows it, and everybody knows that because it was restricted to only cartridges, I think because they couldn't really get 64 bits with the silicon graphics technology onto a CD, which, I mean, I would just say fuck it, go 32 instead. I know you wouldn't really stand out from the competition, but like, because they were, restricted to cartridges, they didn't have as much space to put stuff in, and they could only go up to like 32 megabytes for a while. I mean, Super Mario 64 was on a 4 megabyte cartridge. That game is really small when you're talking about file size compared to the CDs that the PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn were using. That's paltry. That's a paltry amount, considering that the CDs could hold up to 650 to 700 megabytes. That's a whole lot more. And CDs, well, you can pirate them easier. They just were more versatile, and you could also have CD audio quality, which I very much appreciate. Although the 64 wasn't really far behind when it came to music. I mean, the songs you're hearing right now, they're great, honestly. Mario Artist Paint Studio has some really great fucking songs. The song you're hearing right now, I think people have nicknamed it Hot Air Balloons simply because of how it looks. From how when you're selecting the music, which you could also do in Mario Paint. That's the banner they give it to the song. They just call it Music 1, Music 2, Music 3. But going back on track. Nintendo realized this and decided to make an accessory called the Nintendo 64 DD. They announced it all the way back in 1995, 1996? Like, even before Nintendo 64 was launched in 1996. And it was supposed to be an accessory you attach to the bottom of the Nintendo 64, and where you can play magnetic discs. And while, they still didn't compare to the CDs, you could put like 64 megabytes in there, and that's better to what the Nintendo 64 cartridges could hold at the time, which at the time of like the Nintendo 64's launch was like 4 to 8 megabytes, not that much. It was really, really, really small. But the thing is that the Nintendo 64 DD, for various reasons, I guess, just got delayed, and a lot of games that were supposed to come to Nintendo 64 DD, even the fabled Final Fantasy VII itself, just got either scrapped or turned into cartridges for Nintendo 64. For example, Kirby 64, that was supposed to be a Nintendo 64 DD title, but they decided, fuck this, and then just put it on the Nintendo 64 instead as its own cartridge back in 2000. But eventually it did come out, but only in Japan in 1999, late 1999 time. And it was kind of a big deal around it because one of the launch titles for Nintendo 64 DD was Mario Artist Paint Studio, and Mario Artist was supposed to be this giant suite of games, this series where it's basically creation of a shit ton of stuff. I mean, for here it's drawings, but then was also Talent Studio, which was your own little films using models that they were already built in, or you could customize with another game called Polygon Studio, where you can make your own models, and you can use those models to explore like this world that they had called the experimental realm, where you find toasters and bread, and it was funky, but it was really fun. And there was also Communication Kit, which was supposed to be the way you share your creations online via the Random service that was a big thing for Nintendo 64 DD. Basically, a spiritual successor to the Satellaview service that the Japanese had for the Super Famicom, the Japanese version of the Super Nintendo. Thing is that, again, because of the Nintendo 64 DD's poor sales, it never came outside of Japan, and the Random's online service only ran for 14 months? Yeah, not even 2 years, so it was quietly shut down, and the Communication Kit is now pretty much worthless because of that. And Nintendo 64 DDs, I mean, if you want to play a Nintendo 64 DD game, officially, not via emulation like I did, what you need to do is get a Japanese Nintendo 64, and then Nintendo 64 DD, and then get a game for it, because, by itself, it's jack shit. But even then, Nintendo 64 DDs go for so high online, that you might as well just go through emulation. With the version I'm playing of Mario Artist Paint Studio is actually full-on translated version of the game, because this game never came out outside of Japan. Translated by Luigi Blood, and Luigi Blood, you can follow him on Twitter and stuff. And the guy really goes out of his way to like preserve shit, and you could visit the site 64dd.org, I think, where you can find ways to play Nintendo 64 DD games on your emulator, and that's really cool that he went out of his way to do this, and I very much appreciate his work. Oh, here's my favorite song, Jellyfish. So it's kind of similar to the mysterious song from Mario Paint. I really like it, but in this one, it's not like mysterious. It's just very calm. Would you imagine the Jellyfish is like a 5 to 6 minute song? Yeah, holy shit! Like the soundtrack of this game really got a whole lot of work. But continuing on the 64DD story, only like 9 games were released for it. So the 4 Mario Artist games that did release, there were supposed to be other Mario Artist games like Sound Maker, Game Maker, and other stuff, but they never came out for obvious reasons. But then there was also the F-Zero X expansion kit, which you need a Japanese copy of F-Zero X as well. But what it allowed you to do is like it basically expanded F-Zero X, where outside of the content you already had on F-Zero X, you could also create your own tracks, and it had some extra tracks as well. And I think, yeah, and that was it. You could create your own tracks, and that was really cool. There was also a golf game that they released for Nintendo 64DD, which it's a golf game, Japan Pro Golf Tour 64, I think that was called. There was also SimCity 64, and that was cool. And besides that, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm missing 3. Before I go to the last 2, let me see if I can remember. What was the other? I mean, wait, no. 4. Okay, 7. Yeah, including 4 Mario Artists, F-Zero X, and then 2. Okay, so the last 2 was an original IP that's called Doshin the Giant, and this was a game that was basically a god game where you played as Doshin, this god, and you were supposed to do either good things or bad things to the villagers in order for them to make monuments out of you and unite the villages together. It was an interesting game. I never played it. Before I've seen it, looks pretty interesting. It was very cool. Thankfully, the game did get a second life on Nintendo GameCube, but only in Japan and Europe. It never came out for North America. And since then, I think Dojin the Giant has been referenced here and there, but Nintendo has never made another game on the property. Although it did receive another another game on Nintendo 64 DD, was pretty much an expansion ? The only reason why I'm saying it was an expansion ? Is because the game does not play anything like the original did, and it had some very bizarre shit. Like, look it up. Doshin the Giant, Nintendo 64 DD, Did You Know Gaming, they probably have some facts on that. Like, it was weird. It was weird, and it just generally got negative reviews. So just play the original. If you're curious, play the second one. But I'm not even sure if that has a fan-made localization or not. Maybe it does. I mean, the Nintendo 64 DD only got these 9 games. Besides that, yeah, nothing else. Like, it's a smaller library than the Virtual Boy. I would love for Scott Towas or somebody else to make a video on Nintendo 64 DD. Actually, the first time I actually ever heard of Nintendo 64 DD was with this YouTuber called Yoshiller. He's a small YouTuber. He mainly does Let's Plays, but back probably over a decade ago, he was able to get a Nintendo 64 DD online, and that was pretty cool. But besides that, yeah, Nintendo 64 DD nowadays is just this cool piece of history that just kind of existed and then just went away. But what would be very nice is if somebody was able to make some fan-made online servers for this, and which would pretty much make the communication kit useful again, and just be able to share your creations online. I mean, I doubt many people would, but hey, better than nothing, But besides that, here's me showcasing the animations, and drawing with a mouse is so clunky. So yeah, what I did earlier is that I didn't even try to really draw what I did was just I because unlike Mario Paint, you can also, there's backgrounds, there's character stamps that you could play around with. There's character stamps of Banjo, and this is still when Rare was a second party to Nintendo, so that's neat. And I just put the background of the Earth and Toad on top of it. Ah, I'm dominated the Earth. Oh god. I guess this is the secret chapter of Neon Genesis Evangelion, where Toad rules the Earth. That anime was something else. But here's me trying to animate, and this song. Oh god, this song is so funky. It perfectly illustrates my feelings of trying to draw with a mouse. Yeah, it just said fuck it. Yeah, smiley. Yeah, and then he smiles, and then I draw with bullshit. This is a funky game. If I could draw for shit, or if I could get my drawing tablet to work without the sensitivity being too high, maybe I could try and draw and draw something of use that's actually fucking useful on this. But no. But a curious thing is that the way I was able to get introduced to Mario Artist Paint Studio and see more of what it's about was via this YouTuber called Varskeletor's Joel, and he tried to draw Bob Ross paintings on Mario Artist, and it actually came out pretty decent, not gonna lie. And it was just an overall funny video to watch. And here's my animation. It sucks. It's only 3 frames. I mean, if I dedicated more, I probably could have made something decent of it, but because this is a showcase, I'm like, fuck it, let me just move on to the next thing. So okay, unlike Mario Paint, you can't compose music in this one. You can draw, you can animate, just like Mario Paint, you can compose songs. But in exchange, you get this 3D world thing, and this not only has some of the best music of the entire game, but you can legitimately look around this 3D world and customize the textures of these animals, and that's super cool. Like I didn't toy around with the textures for this showcase because I didn't want to ruin the animals, but you could totally look around and look at these terrains, and that's so cool. Like, they're very detailed. The best part though is that you can explore, and I mean, I couldn't get the controller and the mouse at the same time, so I was basically controlling this character with only the mouse, which was awkward as shit, and I couldn't really take photos. But this is so cool. Like, you can legit explore these environments and interact quote unquote with the animals. I think if you get close to an animal, you just bounce off of them, and he goes, I hurt, I stepped on a kid. I don't know, but I just really find this really cool. Like, which is kind of like why people, the few people to know about this game, and even fewer people that have played this game want this to be re-released in some form. Of course, it would be weird to re-release this because I think Nintendo 64 DD emulation is not too hard. Nintendo could put it on their Nintendo Switch Online service, no problem. But these games involve the mouse, and yeah, I mean, you're just kind of restricted when it comes to the mouse. I mean, that's the big discussion about re-releasing Mario Paint and Mario Artist. It's like, you would need an accessory. Basically, you would gatekeep these games behind an accessory you need to pay for, a mouse. Or, I mean, they could maybe use the Joy-Cons and point them on the screen using gyroscope and draw that way. And or maybe in handheld mode you can touch the screen to paint, but if you want a more authentic experience, you need to get a mouse. But I mean, there's some workarounds, I guess. Fun fact about this game is that unlike Mario Paint, you can actually get 4 mouses on Nintendo 64 and you actually draw up and have 4 people draw, and that's so cool. Like, this game just reeks of coolness, alright? And this is only Paint Studio. There's Talent Studio and Polygon Studio as well. They have their own unique quirks to them. Maybe one day I could do commentary on them, but again, it would probably be a short one like this one, just showcasing games and nothing, and not much more to that. I mean, maybe one day, but not anytime soon, considering that I'm already saying all I need to say about these games in this commentary. And one day. Nintendo 64 DD is just, while it didn't have many games, just it has some cool stuff. And maybe I'll try some other Nintendo 64 DD's games someday. I mean, Doshin the Giant, if I'm playing that, I'm playing the GameCube version, so that got localized in Europe. And that game would take a long time. I mean, it's a game that I think you can beat. It has multiple endings, but it's a game that's basically, it's also one of those games that you just kind of go in and you just chill out and just do random shit, But the 3D world is not only home to the ocean floor, but also the dinosaur world, and that is really cool. And you can explore this world as well. You even get a safari hat and everything. Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool. Look, it's the dinosaurs. They went extinct. They went extinct a long time ago. I still remember when there was like a theory that the dinosaurs like died out of like dehydration and just overall dry lands. But then there was the theory of the meteorites killing the dinosaurs. The only reason why I'm bringing up the first theory is that there's this movie by Disney called Fantasia, and showcased the dinosaurs dying via like of water rather than meteorites, which really goes to show that, oh yeah, even though this movie feels really timeless, it's a movie from 1940. Ow! He got hurt by the dinosaur. I don't know the names. I know a friend of mine probably knows the names of these dinosaurs. Not me. I'm a noob when it comes to this shit. But I just really fun. And I could have explored more, but with the awkward controls, I was like, I'm just showcasing them a bit. But this is definitely something that you can definitely hop in and just have fun with, Even if you could only run and take photos, like, it's cool. Look at this waterfall. It looks great for a Nintendo 64 game. Like, graphically, this game actually looks pretty decent for a Nintendo 64 game. Oh, by the way, I guess I should say that one of the playing games from Nintendo 64 DD was a legendary Mother 3, and there's a lot to say about that game. I've only played a tiny bit. I'm not sure if I'll ever fully play it, but damn. And here's the other world you could explore, Planet Mars. It is funky. I really appreciate the jazzy music. Kind of sounds like lounge music, actually. And you see all the Ayla Mouse. Maybe Dr. Wily went into this planet and got the inspiration for that alien boss in Mega Man 2. And you can explore it as well. And I tried to showcase it, and I find it funny that there's low gravity. I mean, it makes sense, but it's kind of funny how when you explore each of these worlds, they all feel different in their own way. I tried to explore it, but I just kind of fell down, and I didn't know how to really configure the camera. So I was just like, well, fuck this. And that's pretty much all there is to Mario Artist. I guess we're nearing the end of this commentary, because there's not much left to show. I think all that will show is just the gallery and the one picture I saved. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. I hope it's a small one, but I hope you guys got to learn more about these games. And with this gallery thing, I will sign off. So see you guys later, and have a good one.